how do I get into fashion school? What course should I do? What even fashion schools are there? What am I going to learn? How do I get into the industry? What do I even want to do in fashion? Are you feeling stressed out? You don't know what you want to do? Girl, I've been there, and I'm sort of still there because I'm about to finish uni and I don't know what I'm doing. But grab a drink, have a little chill, and listen to me yap about my fashion journey so far. Cheers. Let's start off where my passion for fashion came from, I guess. I've always been pretty passionate about fashion. God, I hate that saying, passion for fashion, but anyways. But as a kid, I used to get like, I was always designing clothes. I helped my granny like design and make my first communion dress. I was actually talking to her about today. Like, we went fabric shopping, and like I was always super interested in that. I was always op shopping and like styling myself and my sister. Like, yeah, you see some of the crazy stuff I wore as a kid and you'd be like, what is she doing? But she was trying to find herself, you know. I used to have those I forgot what they were called. They were like my model sketchbooks or something. If I find them, I'm gonna insert it like here. But they were like these books that just had like fashion outlines, so like the body outline, and you would design on them. And I had so many of them. I used to design so much, and I was actually saying that because I loved my first communion dress so much, I kept on designing like that. It was so funny. But anyways, so I used to always do them, and I didn't really think it was something, I didn't really think fashion was something I wanted to get into. I really wanted to be an actress when I was younger, and I also used to make a lot of YouTube videos when I was like a kid, like on my parents' iPads and stuff. And every time we would go on holidays, even in like high school, I'd make little vlogs, but I wouldn't post them. I was just like a super anxious still am anxious, but like a super anxious kid, and was really not myself in high school. So there was no chance I was going to be able to do that. But I actually, if I look back at my old videos, she's so cute. I was really inspired by like Emma Chamberlain. She was probably my favorite influencer YouTuber when I was growing up, and obviously she's like a fashion icon now. But especially in high school, I religiously watched all of her videos, and I really loved how she experimented with fashion. And I think that really helped me grow, because she's like obviously such an icon, especially when it comes to being yourself and all those sort of things. And I think she really helped me understand my passions, and that it's okay to experiment and like kind of fail when it comes to especially fashion. Like sometimes she's even spoken about on her podcast, looking back at me like, what was I wearing? That sort of vibe. And I definitely do that too. During lockdown, I literally was sewing during every class. Like, I was in maths and I was making skirts. I was like, no, I don't want to do this, I just want to sew. And obviously I was doing all of my classes from my room because we were in lockdown, so I was like, whatever. My two like favorite subjects in year 12 were media and fashion, like design technology it was called, which is so iconic because I'm literally doing that, both of those things combined now. But in media, we like made films and acting, which was one of my passions. And then in design, we were making clothes. So I made a 1920s inspired like outfit. It was super like, I was obsessed with The Great Gatsby. And so I like made a outfit that could have been worn to one of those sort of parties. Yeah, so those were my two things. And then when I got to the end of year 12, you put in your preferences for uni, and I put in for fashion design, and I also put in for media. But media had a higher like entry level. I didn't think I was gonna get a high enough ATAR to get into media, so I was like, I'll just put it up there first because it's higher if I get in again, and if not, I really want to do fashion. Anyways, when results came around, I actually did well, which is surprising because I didn't study, but anyways, and so I thought, oh well, if I've gotten into a course with a high ATAR, I might as well just do it. So I did media for a year and a half, and it was interesting. I made some really good friends through the media course. It was really creative, it was very hands-on. I learned a lot about editing, which has come in really handy in my passions, but also in my work. But it just wasn't for me. At RMIT, I was doing media at RMIT, the like media rooms were underground, so you had to like, you were just like, there was no windows. It was a very difficult environment for someone who was actually being diagnosed with ADHD during that time. So it was really hard for me to focus. I got really overwhelmed, and it was just, I got very panicky underground, so it just wasn't for me. So this was like a real breaking point for me. I was like, I I can't do this. I can't, I couldn't handle it. I was really affecting my mental health, and I was like, I can't do this right now. In my head, I think in high school as well, it was really drilled into you that, you know, you had to finish uni, and I had this idea that when I finished uni, I'd be 21, which is crazy, and I was going to move to America because I wanted to pursue acting. And then my thoughts kind of changed. That wasn't really something I wanted to do. I found a lot of happiness here, and I didn't really feel like that was my calling anymore. I didn't want to go pick up my life and leave. And I was a little bit lost off that because I was like, what the fuck do I do? This is my whole plan has been. I'm gonna ditch everyone as soon as I finish uni, because I'll be 21, I'll be able to drink in America, and I just want to fuck off. That was a pretty like intense time. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I need to find something else I'm passionate about. And the entire time through uni, I was still very passionate about fashion. Everything, my entire day was planned on what I was going to wear to uni, what am I going to think, like what am I going to make when I get home, all of those sort of things. So it's kind of funny that I look back and I'm like, wow, I could have told you that that's what you're thinking about. But anyways, so then I took 6 months off. Just before this, I got a job at a pretty popular fashion retailer in Australia, and it was interesting. It taught me a lot about fashion retail, which I hadn't worked in before. I'd done a lot of other like I've been working since I was 15, and I worked in a lot of other retail, like I worked at a supermarket and I've worked hospo, but I hadn't worked in fashion retail, and it taught me a lot about that, but it was ultimately quite a traumatic experience. I think that's something I'll talk about in a different time, but yeah, I only stayed there for 6 months, but in that 6 months, it did teach me a lot, and it did make me realize that all I wanted to do was be around fashion. A big part of that job was helping like style people, and that was like my favorite thing. I loved it. I would just be, that was kind of my thing at that job. I just stayed in change rooms and styled people, and it was my favorite thing. I loved it, and the happiness that came when you helped someone, you know, find their perfect pair of jeans or that sort of thing was really beautiful, and I really loved it. So yeah, sorry, my brain went out storage. Anyways, I did a little bit of research, and I was deciding between doing fashion design or fashion marketing. Fashion design just seemed really intense and not really what I wanted to do. I do really love designing, but I was like, I know how to sew, and I don't really want to be a designer. I kind of prefer the content creation sort of side of it, and social media and marketing. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna try for this. Anyways, I applied for that, and I just took the 6 months to really just chill, worked a lot. Yeah, then when I was at this department store, a really crazy day happened, and it was just, if you worked fashion retail in a city before, you know that sometimes people come in and just cause chaos. It was one of those days, and I left crying because I was terrified, and I went back to my boyfriend's place, and I was like, I need to find a different job. I can't stand it here anymore. It's really scary, and I don't think it's what I want to do. So I just scrolled through Seek or Indeed or whatever, and I found a listing for a e-commerce assistant at a fashion place, and I was like, I'll just apply, might as well. I don't have any e-commerce experience. I don't have any real fashion experience, but I'm gonna just do it, whatever. So I applied for that, and I also was applying for Fashion Week because I wanted to volunteer for Fashion Week, which was, so much to say about that too. Didn't think about it, was like, okay, outside, out of mind. I got other things to worry about. I was going to Sydney for the weekend for a family event, so I was like, I'm not gonna think about it. And I got a phone call, and it was from the e-commerce assistant person being like, hey, I loved your resume. I love that you're working at Fashion Week. Do you want to come in for an interview? And I was like, oh, me? Okay. And I was like, fuck, did I lie on my resume or something? Like, why do they actually want me? That's crazy. Anyways, so I had a little bit of a phone interview with this person, and I was like, okay, like, they sound cool. I'm not going to put too much pressure on it though, because I knew that there would obviously be heaps of other people that were way more qualified. So I was like, whatever. So I put on a cute little dress, and I go into this interview, so nervous, and I met the lovely person who became my boss now. And we clicked instantly. It was really beautiful. She's only a couple years older than me, so we got along really well. And although I thought that I was so underqualified, a lot of e-commerce is using Adobe. And how did I know how to do Adobe? Because I did media for a year and a half, and it was great. I already kind of knew a bit about Illustrator and Photoshop and knew so much about Premiere Pro, and I was super passionate, and I ended up getting a job, which is crazy. So many people ask me, how did you get the job? I applied for it. I'm such an advocate for just go for it, just see, because the worst can happen, you're gonna be rejected, and that's fine. So anyways, I end up getting this job, and I didn't start for like 2 weeks because I had Melbourne Fashion Week. Melbourne Fashion Week. That was the best week of my life. It was crazy. I was still working at the other place. I was working like, I did a runway every single night, which starts, I can't remember what time it was. They were like 10 to 12 hour shifts, and then I would work in the morning beforehand, so I still had money, and it was chaos. It was a whole week of just like, oh my god, I don't know how I did it, but it was so much fun. I met some of the most amazing people who are still like some of my closest friends. It's just like amazing. Every time there's a fashion week or a fashion event, we all still get together, and it's just so good. I love my fashion week girlies so much, and literally, oh, so grateful for that time. And that really just like showed me that this is what I want to do, and I have made the right choice, if that makes sense. So yeah, I basically didn't see my family or friends for a whole week because I was just working at Fashion Week, and then on the last night of Fashion Week, I wasn't working the showcase, the runway, and I decided to buy my own ticket and go to a show. It was beautiful. I just talked to people at the show, had the best time, and yeah, I like talked to everyone around me, talked to many people that were also, you know, trying to break into the industry, and it was beautiful. Honestly, it was beautiful. And yeah, it was another one of those moments where I was like, yeah, I've made the right decision. And you know, sometimes those moments don't happen until later on, and I'm just so grateful that it was like the universe was looking out for me. It was being like, hey, you've done good, you know. After starting at this new job, I literally became besties with my boss. Love you, girl, if she's watching me now. She better be. Uni/fashion school is something that's like pretty controversial, whether you should do it or not. So let me put in my 2 cents. First of all, I think that it is important, and I think it's really important to have knowledge of the fashion industry before you're going in it. And yeah, you can learn a lot of it from working in it, but it's really good to understand the behind the scenes and understanding how fashion impacts everyone. That's what we're working on right now. We're talking about global industries in my one of my classes, and it's like, how is fashion influencing the entire world? How are all of these people been affecting? How can your business improve / destruct the world? And I think that's a really important thing to learn, and because we need to look after our planet, obviously, and that's just something that a lot of fashion businesses didn't do, and so now we're trying to fix it. So I think that's a really important thing to do. Teachers have all worked in the fashion industry, which helps so much, because then you can just ask them questions and be like, help me, I don't know what to do, and I don't understand how this works, and blah blah blah. And they're just like really helpful, and they give a lot of like real life examples, at least in a marketing course they do. I will say that the classes are very long. All of my classes are 3.5 hours, which is really difficult, but they're filled. It's not like you're sitting there doing nothing. Like, especially in the classes I have now, if I leave for 5 minutes, I've missed half of the course, honestly, which is hard because I obviously need to leave quite a bit, but I can catch up well enough. Like, they've got really good resources, and all of the teachers love fashion and the industry so much that they are always going to talk about it, which is really helpful. But yeah, I do really recommend going to uni for marketing, for fashion marketing in particular, because you can do so many jobs. There are so many jobs I didn't even know about until I got to uni, and it's just like, whoa. You think that it's so, you always, like, as a kid, you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a designer. You're probably not. You can be a designer if you want to, but you know, it's not really the same. And at RMIT, they've actually combined the design and marketing course for an associate degree, which is what I'm doing, and it's amazing. Like, one of my friends is doing it, and it sounds so good, and I'm so jealous. I wish I could have done it. But yeah, it's really important to have that background knowledge, especially if you want to be a designer, if you want to have your own business. You need to learn about everything, because if not, it's gonna go bad. Let's talk about my goals for this year and future. My main goal for this year is finishing uni, and I know it sounds like such an easy thing, but like, this is gonna be such a milestone for me, because I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited to be done and to have a degree and just be like, I did that. Something I'm really working on this year is growing my personal brand, which is, you know, on my YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I just really love making content for this, and I want to keep making it. It's also a really great portfolio for what I want to do in the future. So for actual like jobs after uni, I just want to do so much. Like, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of jobs I want to do. I really want to be a buyer. I really want to be an assistant buyer. I think it would be really cool. I only want to do it for like a year or so, but I think that would be really cool, to like put everything I've learned at uni into use. I also kind of want to be a analyst, which is like a lot of Excel stuff. I'm just kind of good at Excel, so I just love numbers. They make sense to me, so I kind of want to do that. So kind of want to do that, but I also I actually found a new job that I really want to do, doing PR and content creation, which is actually what my boss said I should do. And I'm like, oh my god, you read my mind. Like, that's what I want to do. I love it so much. I really just want to make content for brands and like do PR. It's so much fun. I just love it. And I do the social media at my work, and I love it so much. So anything social media, I'm loving. I'm there for. So I really want to do that, but I also just want to, I want to be a stylist. I want to help out designers. There's so much I want to do. I'm overwhelmed. There's so much. It's weird that I'm so excited to finish uni so I can work. Like, what? Who does that? No one. I'm just so, like, I am filled with passion, and I'm so excited to finish uni and be able to actually really lean into that. If you had have asked me, like, 3 years ago, literally 3 years ago, what are you gonna do when you're 21? I would have told you I'd be out of here. I would have told you I wouldn't be here. I'd be in America. I'd be pursuing acting, and that would be my life. I'd have a whole new set of friends, a whole new things, all that. But then, you know, I found love and I found my passion again, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, that sometimes life works out, and it does. But yeah, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed listening to me. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I don't think I've kind of got here in a bit of a messy way, but I'm really proud of where I am right now, and I think it's a really exciting thing that I am just so excited for the future. I'm so excited to finish uni, and I can't wait for you guys to come along with me. I'm going to be posting a lot more of fashion history and thrifting and all that sort of stuff, but I just want to give a bit of an update of who I am, how I got here. Anyways, lots of love. Thank you for watching. Bye.